Hello, my loves. I am so excited for today because we are beginning. Here is episode 1 of the Gem Goddess podcast. This is something that I have been talking about beginning for quite some time. Like if you've been following me for a while, you already know that I have mentioned this multiple times that I want to start a podcast. But the reason why I didn't in the past was for a few different reasons. For one, I kept telling myself, I'm going to wait until I have more time in my schedule. I'm also going to wait until I know exactly what I want to name this podcast. And I've even asked the community, I've even asked you guys, what should I name this podcast? And I got caught up on the name for it for a while and just thinking like, I need it to have a unique name. I need it to have a cool name. It needs to really resonate. We're just here calling it the Gem Goddess podcast because that's just the easiest thing. It just makes sense. So why not just dive into it? Why not just get started on it? And if I want to change the name later, we can always change it later. But I mean, the Gem Goddess podcast, you can't go wrong with that, right? It already makes sense. It already just fits right in. So we are beginning it. We are starting it. And the interesting thing that makes me laugh so much, and it's actually the inspiration about what today's episode is going to be about, is I kept telling myself that I'm going to start a podcast once my schedule frees up a little bit, once I get a little bit more time back. And I run 2 businesses. If you don't know, I have a YouTube channel where I make YouTube videos, and I also have a jewelry company called Luna Gem where we make the most gorgeous bracelets, the most gorgeous crystal jewelry. So if you're into crystal healing, definitely check that out. We also just launched a couple other really cool new products on there. We have like journals, mugs, some other really cool things. So definitely check that out. But that's not the point of what this whole segment is. Back to the point. I run 2 businesses, and that took up a lot of my time. It took up a ton of my time. And I kept thinking like, oh, when I have a little bit more time, I'm going to start the podcast. And recently I just became a mom, which, oh my gosh, is the most fulfilling part of life ever. I have a little 4-month-old daughter, and she's my absolute world. And now I actually work a whole lot less. I work so much less because my whole heart just wants to be a mom now. But of course, I also love my businesses because I'm also sort of a mom to my businesses. They're also kind of my children. But to be honest, I want to spend most of the time with my daughter, Angel. So now I have even less time in my schedule. Plus, I just took on 2 really exciting, huge projects. They're massive projects. I just undertook those as well. So technically, I have less time than I ever used to have ever within my life. But here we are. I am starting the podcast. I'm taking on those 2 new really exciting projects, which you guys will eventually hear about. And I also am running my 2 businesses. And now I'm also a mom where I only really work like a few hours a week, to be honest with you. I kind of made my schedule to where max a week I work like 10 hours a week, which is crazy. So that inspired today's episode, which is going to be all about how to manage your time better, how to kind of like magically use time to discover more time in your schedule, but also the divineness and the amazingness of just starting something. If there's something that you want to start, that if you're called to start it, this is your sign to start it, to begin it, because I kept putting off starting my podcast thinking like, oh, I'll do it when there's the right time or when I have more time. But what I came to realize is that was actually just an excuse because technically I have less time now and I'm finally beginning it. And the reason why I'm finally beginning it is because I'm like, you know what? This is something that I've wanted to do for a while. And I also know that when you have a calling for something, it's because you are ready. It's because your soul's telling you that you're ready for it. You would not have the calling within you if it wasn't the right time and if your soul wasn't ready for it. But of course, our ego can come up with all these excuses such as, oh, I don't know enough yet. Or what if it's not perfect? Or we get caught up in perfectionism, or we get caught up in planning. Because again, like stepping into anything new, starting anything new is going to scare the ego. The ego is going to not want to do it. It's going to come up with all the excuses imaginable to stop you from doing it, to keep you inside of your comfort zone. And of course, we're going to come up with excuses such as, I don't know the right name to call it. I don't know the name to call my podcast, or I don't have enough time right now. Time is actually technically an excuse, because if you valued it enough and if you could just overcome the fears that might be blocking you, you would actually just find the time to do the thing. You would just find the time. Because again, right now, I used to work like 10 hours a day, literally every single day. Just because I love my business so much, I used to work like literally 10 hours a day. Now I work 10 hours a week. And now I'm starting the podcast. And I'm also keeping up with my other 2 businesses fully. How How? Tell me how. If I could have told myself back then, before I was a mom, that I could work only 10 hours a week and do all the things that I wanted to do and get them done within 10 hours, what? I would have thought you were crazy. But here I am. I needed to make it work. I had to make it work. I wanted to start the podcast. I've had more passion than ever since becoming a mom. I've literally had so much passion for myself, my business. I've had so much passion for just honestly everything. Like everything has just been invigorated with more passion just because of having my daughter. So here we are, and I'm starting this. And again, I created the magic within my time, within my schedule, and also within starting something new. Another thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to starting something new is the wisdom of the Fool card within the tarot, because the Fool card represents new endeavors, new beginnings, new chapters, starting something new. It's all about that new beginning, all the newness energy. And the secret wisdom that you can find within the Fool tarot card is, if you look at it, it's a man with a little flower in his hand, with a little satchel on his back. There's a dog below him, and he's about to walk off a cliff. And the cliff indicates the familiar versus the unfamiliar, the things that are not planned yet, the things that we don't know yet. Because any sort of new beginning, any sort of new thing that you start, we don't really know how it's going to go. We don't know how it's going to turn out. We don't know what the future of it quite looks like yet, because it's not yet defined. The path is not yet treaded. It's not yet walked. There's no footprints yet. It's not figured out. And that's why there's the cliff. So it's asking you to take a leap of faith. Anytime you start something new, you're going to have to take a leap of faith. Because not everything can be fully figured out, not everything can be perfectly planned, and not everything is going to be perfectly known. Whenever you step into something new, there's going to be a lot of unknowns. And the only way to know it, the only way to figure it out is to take that leap of faith and to find out where you land, to leave those new footprints in the sand. That's the secret wisdom of the Fool tarot card. That's why there's that cliff. That's why it looks like that jarring cliff. Because as he walks, that's when he discovers the rest of the path ahead. For example, me starting this podcast, I don't know how the podcast is going to turn out. I have no idea how many listeners there's going to be, but we're going to figure it out as we go. I need to take those steps to figure out what that looks like. I can't figure it out prior. I can define what I want it to look like. I can define what I want it to turn out like, but then of course I have to walk the walk to figure that out. Of course, I have to do the thing. And then if it doesn't turn out the way I wanted it, then of course I have to revise a few things. I'm going to have to learn how to better record podcasts and kind of plan episodes, how to talk, and all these things. There's a lot that I might have to learn along the way, but the thing is I learn it along the way. And anytime I've started anything new in my life, that's always been the theme. We start something new. It's really unknown. It's sometimes uncomfortable. We have to take a leap of faith into it, but we figure it out as we go. It's just like driving a car, and you can only see so much of the road ahead. Like if I'm driving my car all the way to the grocery store, when I get in my car, I can't see the grocery store, but I can just see like, okay, here's the next 10 feet in front of me. Here's the next 10 feet after that. Here's the next 10 feet after that. Here's the next 10 feet after that. You're only able to see a certain amount of distance ahead of you. And so a lot of the times when we're starting something new, it can be uncomfortable because we're having to take that leap of faith, and we're having to just trust that we're going to figure it out. And the thing is you will figure it out. So a message that I have for you today is, if you have a calling, you would not have the calling if your soul was not ready in this moment. So it's time to let go of any excuses. It's time to let go of any of those resistances. It's time to tell the ego, it's okay. Let me begin the thing, because I wouldn't have the calling if I wasn't ready for it. And I'm going to figure it out on the way. There could be challenges, failures, obstacles, all kinds of things in the way. But we learn the most from our failures. That's the thing, is I have actually learned more in my business from the times when I failed at something than the times when I was successful at something. And that's how you become successful at something, is when you're able to reframe failures as learning, as lessons that are helping you become who you need to be, lessons that are helping teach you what you need to know so that you can have the skills to be ultimately successful in that area of your life. Like that's what all of that is about. And an example that I love to use is, let's say that you're a business owner and you are wanting to hire a financial advisor. Would you hire the financial advisor that's like, oh, I've been given a lot of money. I've always had a lot of money. Money's always been super easy for me. Or option two, there's this person who's like, you know what? I've actually come from poverty and I learned how to manage money. I've learned how to make money. I've learned how to accumulate a bit for myself. I've learned through these obstacles, these challenges, and I've gone through all these different things with money and I've had these failures with it, but then I've learned how to bring it back up. Which person would you want to hire to be your financial advisor in your business? You'd probably want to hire, well, at least I know for me, for me, I'd want to hire the person who has come from nothing, who has gone through the challenges, they've gone through the failures, they've gone through the lessons, but they've learned how to manage it regardless. I'd want to hire that person. And the reason being is because then I know, oh, if my business goes through some sort of challenge or obstacle or lesson or failure, then I know that this person's going to have some wise wisdom to input and they're going to know what to do. And they're going to know how to advise me properly because they've been through it. They've learned it. And so the thing is we shouldn't fear failures. We shouldn't fear hardships. We shouldn't fear challenges or obstacles. And a lot of the times we do. And the excuse for not trying something new is because we're worried about the challenges, the obstacles, and the failures. We're worried. We're like, oh, I don't want to run into that because then if I do, then I'm going to feel like a failure. I'm going to feel like, oh, I shouldn't have done it because I didn't foresee this or I didn't foresee that. The thing is, there's going to be things that pop up that you don't foresee. There's going to be new things that pop up that you've never experienced before. But that's the beauty of a new experience. And that's also the beauty of it teaching you what you need to know. And there's no way you're ever going to avoid failures, challenges, and obstacles. You should actually embrace them. You should look forward to them. So if you are wanting to start something new, literally just go through the perspective of, I invite in any of these challenges. I invite in the obstacles because I'm going to look at them from the perspective of, oh, this is helping me master this area of my life. This is helping me master this skill. This is helping me master this thing so that I can and will be successful at it. And let me tell you, when I was starting my YouTube channel, which my YouTube channel is like a huge success of mine in my life now, and I'm so grateful for it. But dang, did I ever go through some challenges, some obstacles, some failures, some learning curves. I've been through a ton with it. Oh my goodness. Like I remember when I was first starting, I was on YouTube for 5 years before ever even making money off of YouTube. I was making YouTube videos for free for 5 years, never gave up on it. And that was a challenge in itself. That was like, I really need to believe in myself here if I'm going to keep going. And I did believe in myself. And that's what kept me going, is I believed that I could do it as long as I continued learning. And my videos were crap when I started. I didn't know how to talk on camera. I was so camera shy. My voice was weird. It was all crackly on camera. It was literally the same as like if you've ever had a fear with public speaking. And then, you get all crackly, panicky, like you don't know how to handle yourself. I was like that. I was flustered like that recording my first YouTube videos. And I was just alone in my room recording YouTube videos, but that just felt weird, right? And so it was strange at first to learn how to talk on camera. I also didn't know a thing about lighting, so my lighting was crap. And editing, I didn't know a thing about editing. It was crap. And all these challenges, like I just kept learning through those initial 5 years and even beyond. I've been learning to this day. I still learn new things about lighting, about talking on camera, about, how to make a YouTube video better. I still learn new things to this day, right? But I used to look up to other YouTubers, other people, and I used to think like, how are they so perfect at this? And the thing is like, you're never perfect. You're always you are where you are. And you either dive into the learning, you either embrace the learning and embrace the process, knowing that you can learn, you can make it better, you will become better as you keep going, as you don't give up, as you just dive into it, as you embrace what there is to come, no matter what it is for you. Of course, I'm using the example of my YouTube channel, but no matter what it is that you're wanting to start and dive into, gosh, it's like the process of learning is just like, it's unavoidable, right? And again, the ego comes up with so many excuses to try to avoid learning or embarrassment or failure or obstacles or resistance. The ego tries to avoid that because the ego gets uncomfortable there. But the more that you can just master the ego, which is also, by the way, that's the strength card in tarot. I'm gonna drop some tarot wisdom in these podcast episodes. I love weaving in tarot because tarot has actually taught me so much about life and philosophy. Like it's insane. But The Strength card in tarot is about taming the ego. The woman who is holding the mouth of the lion represents the ego because, of course, in symbolism and mysticism and all of that, Leo the lion is connected to the Leo constellation, the Leo zodiac sign, which is connected to the ego. And so what this card represents is control over the ego gives you control of your life. When your ego's in control of you, you're not in control of your life, even though your ego is, a part of you, but it's the instinctual human aspect of you. It's all about your survival instincts, which is also why it's represented by an animal on the tarot cards, because it's all about those like animalistic instincts where you just want to survive. And the ego tries to keep you safe by telling you like, oh, don't do this. Oh, you don't have enough time for it. Oh, good. That's a good excuse to fall back on it. Or, oh, I don't have my podcast name yet. Therefore, I'm going to fall back on that excuse. And like, whew, there we go. I have an excuse to not do it. So the secret wisdom of the Strength card within the tarot is when you can tame the ego, when you can also be in control of your ego and you know how to control your ego, you know when your ego's popping up, you know when it's your ego screaming at you versus when it's like, your actual intuition or something. When you know the difference of that, which there's ways that we'll save that for another episode where we talk about the differences between intuition versus like ego versus fears versus all those other things. But again, when you're in control of your ego, you're in control of your life. Your ego stops you from so many things because again, it just wants to protect you. And it's scared of anything that feels uncomfortable because it thinks like it's not safe. It thinks it's not safe. And so that's the animalistic part of you that's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you alive. So it just holds you back in all those different ways. So that is that part of the episode where we're, covering all of that. Hopefully that gave some insight. Like again, if you have something that you're wanting to begin or start or do or dive into, just do it. Like literally just do it. There's no reason why you shouldn't. If you have the calling, it's because your soul is ready. Again, I'm not telling you to like do things willy-nilly and to just like throw your life and be like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to forget about the ego and I'm going to forget about responsibility. Of course, there is a level of like responsibility. There is a level of still, being stable and being cautious and doing all of those things. But there's a balance with that. Of course, we should be cautious. We should be smart with things. But at the same time, if you have a calling for something, also add in the balance of honoring that, of diving into that, of trying it out, learning along your way, because that's where your life is going to become so much more fulfilling is when you're honoring what your soul is calling you towards, because your soul has an inner GPS. And if your soul is calling you towards something, it's because your soul came here with the desire to experience that. Therefore, you're going to feel really unfulfilled and really unhappy when you're not honoring your soul's inner callings, right? So that is the point of today's episode. I really was called to start this podcast. I'm so happy that I'm finally doing it. And I wanted to share that personal story with you about me starting this podcast and always coming up with excuses about why I wasn't ready and why I kept putting it off, because I feel like it's such a powerful, important thing. And I thought it would just make the perfect theme for the first episode of this podcast. So that's that part. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is the illusion of time. Because again, I shared with you in the beginning of this episode how I used to work 10 hours a day and I used to be still like so behind on work and things like that. And it felt like I had no time to myself. Yet now, becoming a mom and working like 10 hours a week, I literally get more done in my work than I ever have. Since becoming a mom, I've literally done more things within my career in these past 4 months than I was able to do in 4 months prior to that. So that's saying a lot. Time is definitely an illusion. And the way that I overcame that, the way that I created this magical shift within my time was I started journaling every day and night. And the reason why I started journaling is because becoming a new mom, I was actually really overwhelmed because I was scared that I would have to lose what I'm so passionate about, which is my business, in order to be the mom that I wanted to be. Because I want to be a mom who's so present with her daughter. And I have to say, I'm really lucky. I actually get that. I'm so lucky I get to work from home, that I get to spend all of my day with my daughter. And then when she naps, that's when I get ready. That's when I work. That's when I film videos. And then I also have my incredible husband who's able to watch her once in a while as well, so that she's never alone. So anyway, I started journaling every day and every night about who is the mom that is able to be super mom. Who's the mom that is able to spend the majority, like 80 to 90% of her day with her daughter, spending the most quality time with her, loving her, who's also able to be an incredible wife and still love my incredible soulmate husband. I love him so much. And who's also able to keep up with certain household chores, who's also able to keep up with working out and taking care of herself, who's also able to keep up with her 2 businesses that she loves so much and take on these new projects that she's so dang excited about, which again, I'm so excited to share with you guys. So I was journaling about that and I'm like, okay, what does she look like? If I was that version of me who was able to do all of those things, I don't know how she's able to do all those things, but if that version existed, how would she think? How would she dress? How would she feel? How would she feel about herself? What would she believe she's capable of? What would she believe about time? What would she believe about her businesses? What would she believe about her daughter? What are her belief systems in general about all of these aspects of life? Because I needed to transform my belief systems, which said I need to somehow work 10 hours a day if I want to upkeep my businesses. And I need to somehow also find time to be with my daughter like 80 to 90% of the day because that's what I want. That's literally just what I want. And then also be a wife, all these things. So I needed to overcome those belief systems that were currently holding me back that said that I would have to sacrifice something or lose something. So again, I was journaling about those new belief systems. If I was that version of me that somehow was able to only work or was able to get all of her work done in only 10 hours a week, and then able to be that mom, able to be that wife, able to be that version of myself that's able to take care of myself. Again, what does she believe? What does she believe about herself? How does she dress? How does she think? How does she feel? How does she act? How does she show up with everything? If she was in my shoes right now, what would her perspective be of my current problems? What would she think about my current work schedule, my current this, my current that, everything? I journaled about so dang much. I was journaling every morning and every evening. And I came up with so many epiphanies, so many ideas. And upon journaling this, I was like, you know what? If she was in my shoes, she wouldn't be seeing any of these things as a problem. She'd be like, I'm going to work when I'm inspired to work. And I'm only going to work on inspiration because when I work on inspiration, so much more gets done rather than me forcing things. Oddly, when I force things, it's like me trying to push some really freaking heavy boulder. It like barely moves. But when I work on inspiration, things just fly together. Things literally just happen. They happen with ease. This is when I started taking on these belief systems, I had so many epiphanies on how I could manage my time and my work, how I could delegate tasks that would free up my time. And the means of being able to delegate those tasks literally just popped up to me. The ideas of how to make those things happen literally just popped up to me. I got emails from people reaching out to me being like, oh, hey, do you need help with this? I can do so for this. And that it's going to also help up level your business in this way. Like all these different things, all the pieces of the puzzle literally just came together. And now I work 10 hours a week and I'm able to do more in my business than I ever have. I'm able to spend all that quality time with my daughter, show up as an amazing wife and being able to love my husband and do all of these things. Again, the old version of me literally would have thought that that was insane and crazy to be able to work 10 hours a week and get more done in my business than I ever have before. But when you journal about who you desire to be, when you journal about the belief systems of the version of you that you want to be, even if you don't even know how that could exist or how it could be possible, if you are able to journal about what are those belief systems, what would I believe about me? What do I believe about my reality? How would I think? What would my perspective be of my current issues? The thing is that inspiring version of me that I wanted to be, that ideal, magical, perfect version of me, she didn't see an issue in my reality. She didn't see obstacles and problems. She was literally just like, work when you're inspired. She only works when she's inspired. And when she does work, she's so efficient at it that she films like 3 videos within, a 2-hour nap that my daughter would take. 3 videos. That is work enough for, I post like 1 or 2 videos a week. That is a lot of work to get done in such a short amount of time. And that frees up so much time in my schedule. Being able to plan videos. I plan videos when I feel inspired to do so. And I get more video ideas now that I'm taking so much time off, now that I'm living life in so much more of an inspiring way, being that most inspiring version of myself. The video ideas just fall onto my lap. It's like I don't have to try anymore. It's like the resistance is gone because I've started embodying that higher version of me that I became so clear about, that I journaled about, that I got so much clarity on, and I started embodying that. I started telling myself that new story. I started thinking like her, acting like her, being like her. I started taking on what her perspectives would be of my current life, how she wouldn't be stressed, she wouldn't be overwhelmed, she wouldn't be overthinking things. And then literally by taking on that mindset, embodying that version of me with those belief systems, those thought patterns, those actions, those habits, truly that's when my life transformed. And I remember when I was creating the schedule of like after my maternity leave, I was creating the schedule of like how I would need to film videos. It was so overwhelming that I was like, I almost scared myself. I was like, how am I going to get all this done? Oh my gosh, how am I going to like be the mom that I want to be and do this? I was like, holy crap. I was really overwhelmed. But it's so funny. When I embodied, I was like, okay, what would the higher version of me do? She looked at the schedule and she'd be like, don't even write the schedule. This is a crap schedule. Don't even write it down because it feels overwhelming. It feels stressful. Don't even write the schedule. Literally just work when you're inspired. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to work when I'm inspired. I'm going to trust that. I'm going to do what she would do. And I started doing that. And literally again, as you guys can see, I've gotten more work done. I've done more things in the past 4 months than I ever have when I used to work 10 hours a day versus now working 10 hours a week. So that is what I wanted to leave you guys off on this episode with, is that little piece of time magic. You can also create this magic in any aspect of your life. If you're currently facing issues or problems, think about, okay, what's the version of me that I would love to be? What life would I love to be living? And how would that version of me think, feel, and act? What would she believe? What would he or she believe about life, about themselves, about reality, about my current issues and problems? Journal about that. Go in depth, go as in depth as you can, and then start to embody that regardless of your current circumstances. Start to embody that new version of you. Start to think in those new ways, act in those new ways. Start to ask yourself questions from that higher version of you. For example, like how I asked, how would my higher version of myself think about my current schedule? How would she be planning the current schedule that I'm trying to plan? And she's like, I wouldn't plan it at all. I would just act on inspiration. And I was like, okay, that's what she would do. So that's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to now embody that version of me. And so once you start doing that, you're going to notice magic starts happening in your life. Like literal magic will start to pour into your life. And I'm so excited to see what happens for you as you take on this practice, as you journal about your highest self, what he or she would do in your shoes, how you can embody that more, and watch how your life will transform before your eyes, because it has transformed my life in such profound ways. That was actually probably the biggest identity shift that I'd ever done, because becoming a parent is like a massive identity shift in itself. And so for me, I needed to go through a huge identity revamp, and doing that identity shift proved to me how insanely powerful it is to do an identity shift, how much it actually affects your reality and how it affects your life. And now I look back and I'm like, I wish I could go back in time and tell my old self about what my new self has just discovered, so that I wouldn't be working 10 hours a day in my old life. Because, you know, I do love my business that much. It was that inspiring, but at the same time, I'm so happy where we are now. So anyway, I love this new discovery. I wanted to share that with you guys in today's episode number 1 of the Gem Goddess podcast. If you guys have any video requests, video ideas for future episodes, things that you want me to answer, things that you wanted me to talk about, the theme of this podcast is going to be all about how to become your highest self. We're going to be talking about things like tarot, astrology, manifestation, all types of good stuff. Like the possibilities are endless here. I'm down to talk about all the different things. So again, no matter what ideas you have, I'm definitely open to them. I'm also planning an episode about spiritual beauty hacks. So things that you can do, like spiritual things for beauty, things that I do for beauty, because I recently got asked on Instagram about my hair care routine, and there's a whole lot of tea to spill there, like spiritual sides of hair care so that you can have lush, thick, really long, healthy hair. There's like a spiritual aspect to that. And then of course, there's also like real world physical things that you can do that help with that as well. So that's going to be in a future episode already, which I'm really excited about. But any other things that you want to talk about, any other things that you have ideas for, any of that, please either message me on Instagram with your different requests, or leave a comment here on YouTube, or find another way to reach out or contact me, because I'd love to get some of those ideas and answer any questions that you guys have. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining me here for episode number 1 of the Gem Goddess podcast. I'm sending you all so much love. And until next time, bye.